Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Montreal Gazette.
Welcome to the HIO Show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette, joined by former Canadian Chris Nyland of TSN Radio 690, columnist Jack Todd, and Andy Bennett from CBC Daybreak. Chris, the big secret in Montreal now is what is Carey Price's lower body injury? Should the team have to reveal exactly what it is?
I don't think so. Again, I know people want to know, the media likes to know. I think they're doing right by protecting him and not letting people know what the injury is. Listen, if he had surgery, we'd have to know. Right now, we don't. If you let that out there, he could become a target. I mean, people might crash the net harder on him. You're looking to win a playoff series down the stretch. You know, there's a good possibility somebody could fall into him.
Michel Therrien said he could tell us, but he'd have to kill you afterwards.
I don't know. You know, the NFL announces injuries down to you know which side of the ankle was hit, and you can't say that isn't it.
Too.
Yeah. Nobody gambles on the NHL. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm 99% sure it's a knee. He's had a history with the knee going back a ways. The Russia series when Kreider crashed into him, all these things. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I think they were probably trying to decide whether they needed surgery or not. Was why he made the trip. But
it's I would like to know how long. I don't like this. We hope he'll be back on the ice soon prognosis. I feel like that's, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like my spidey sense was like tingling in that press conference when he came off, especially starting with the joke and then being so like over the top joking around in that press conference about the injury. It made me more worried. I was like, you're a little
No worry.
Yeah, he kept saying, don't worry, you know? And it's like, you've told us now 5 times not to worry, so now
now you're getting worried.
Now I'm kind of nervous, you know? But look, do we need to know what the injury is? Probably not. I mean, could be knee, could also be groin. He said it wasn't responding the right way. That's one of those lingering injuries that takes such a long time to heal. Anybody who has had a groin injury knows that you can't really rest it.
Groin lower body?
Groin's considered lower body. Where's your groin? I'm not sure.
There we go.
You tell
me. The thing with Carey is such a big guy, dropping down to his knees. He's such a big man. I mean, you go to the gym one day and just drop to your knees and get up 10 times to see how tired you are. So it's that wear and tear going on. Now, Mike Condon has been fantastic filling in. At some point, though, he's going to need a rest. Do you put in Tokarski or do you bring up Fukale from the
Cross that bridge when you come to it. I wouldn't bring up Fukale. Tokarski's here. You know, if you need to play him in a back-to-back situation, just hope he comes out and gives you a good effort and gives you a chance to win the hockey game. I wouldn't go down and bring a kid up for that. You know, why even have Tokarski here then? So, yeah, I'd stick with that duo. And, you know, again, I'm like the coach. I'm not worried about the Carey Price thing, especially where Condon is doing so well. And people think maybe, well, he's a flash in the pan. When's his bubble going to burst? I think the kid's just solid fundamentally, and he's got a great coach to work with.
Wouldn't you also just be murdering the confidence of Tokarski if you just jump right past him and go to Fukale?
I don't think they care.
But I mean, through training camp, right? I mean, that had to hurt. And look, they had no choice because the way Condon played, but they don't care.
As Bergevin said, it's not a Boy Scout club he's running. Now, Price is obviously happy he doesn't have to deal with Brendan Gallagher as an opponent standing in his crease all the time. Another goal called back on the Canadiens because of Gallagher and crease interference. Is it time for maybe Bergevin to talk with the NHL or find out what's going on?
I think it's definitely time and past time. There's been a Gallagher and the referees have to get this sorted out somehow because they're really tough on him on the interference calls. B, they don't give him any help. I mean, he can be getting his head taken off and there's no call. You know, we've got a whole setup here with the way the goals are reviewed. The on-ice official, at least in this instance, apparently made the call when that goal was ruled off. But you have Murphy in Toronto on the phone. Murphy's an ex-Leafs head coach. To me, at some point down the line, this is a situation that could blow. You imagine this happening in Game 6 of a Stanley Cup final. A call is overruled from Toronto. They've got to get this.
Well, you also have Chris Pronger as part of the discipline people with the NHL, and he's still being paid by an NHL team. It doesn't make sense.
To me, it's such another completely ambivalent area in the NHL where it's like you don't know what's goalie interference anymore, and they never seem to really have a great consistency with this. And same thing with the calls on Gallagher. I mean, just decide what's a penalty and just call it for everyone. I don't understand what's so difficult about that. I mean, Gallagher gets his head taken off again. Tackle from behind doesn't get a call. Goalie interference seems completely arbitrary as to when they call it and when they don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
you can have 3 rulings on the same night, go 3 different directions.
Well, that's
you're trying to watch them and say, what's the thinking behind this?
I know they're human. I
and if it's goalie interference, shouldn't it be a penalty then?
But it just seems like there's
that bothers me more than anything.
That's what's crazy. There's no penalty.
Twice he was called for a goal. 2 goals waved off for interference, and neither one was a penalty. Really, it's either or. It's got to be interference or a goal.
I don't have a problem
ground there.
with the goaltender interference on Gallagher because he's in there a lot. He gets in the way, and even if it's subtle and he gets in the goaltender's way, it can throw you off that little bit to not allow you to get across to make the save. That being said, the one thing I take umbrage to is the fact that every time this kid is around the net or in the corners, he gets cross-checked, he gets whacked, and that's what I don't like, where the referees don't call. Listen, if you got to burr up your butt about certain things and the way this kid plays, but don't take it out on him when he gets a punishment and you don't call penalties against guys who do it. That's what really pisses me off about the referees.
Canadians could cash in on this so they could sell Gallagher pinatas in their souvenir store, and kids at birthday parties could beat the.
I'm telling you, it's the Gallagher breaking point. It happens once a game, and it's usually late in the second or in the third period.
Explain what your Gallagher breaking point is. I love that line.
He's just so irritating to opponents. He gets under their skin. He's obviously always around the crease, and always once a game there is a flagrant, penalty on Gallagher. Usually doesn't get called, but it's usually something ridiculous that's over the top where he gets pulled down from behind or like a really borderline hit. And to me, that's the Gallagher breaking point where teams are just like, guys, just, he's pushed us over the edge right now.
I love when you asked him that question in the room and he just sort of gave that little Dennis the Menace grin that he has.
I mean, isn't he just like the pain in the butt little brother?
Dennis the Menace on skates.
That is Gallagher.
We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, everybody. Canadiens fans have loved to rip Michel Therrien in the past about his defensive system. Chris, they're the #1 offensive team in the NHL this season. What happened?
Well, they've made some changes in the team. Guys who came over at the end of last year adjusted to the system. You got 6 defensemen who can skate and move the puck. You got 4 really balanced lines. You could argue the second line is missing a right winger, but they move things around, and when you have that scoring ability from 2 lines for sure, and the other 2 are chipping in all the time, I mean, they haven't changed the system. They play the same type of system. Listen, they dumped
the right players for it.
They dumped the puck a little more last year because of the mere fact when you're in a 2-1 game, a 1-1 game, that's the thing. You better get the puck deep. The coach wants the puck deep. You don't want to take a chance to turn it over at the blue line and it going the other way and in your net. Now they're playing. They got more confidence. They've been scoring goals at the beginning of the season. They feel like even if they're behind now, and talking to Dale Weiss the other day, he said, we get down 1-0 now. It's like, we have that confidence as a team. We feel it. Last year, if that happened, we'd be like, oh. And if we get down 2 goals, it's like we're never coming back. That mindset has totally changed this year, and it's because of the personnel and the way they've moved the personnel around and used them.
But they're showing defense and offense can coexist. They're second in defense. The Rangers are the only team that's better defensively.
Yeah, I've always thought, my father taught me the old Jack Dempsey dictum, a good offense is a good defense. They're keeping teams back on their heels, so they're not back on their heels. And the few times when they have been, like that game against Ottawa or Edmonton when they got the 3-0 lead, then all of a sudden it starts going the wrong way. But no, I love what he's doing. I always thought he could coach. It was an Islander thing.
I also feel like with Therrien, though, it's like people get in these circular things of talking about the Canadiens and about Therrien, and he's a defensive coach, and the Canadiens are small, and we keep saying these things without realizing that it's not really actually true anymore. I mean, the Canadiens are not a small team anymore. Yes, they have a couple small guys still. They like skill and speed and fast guys. But the same thing with Terry, and it's just so funny that we talk about defensive teams as if it completely obliterates the possibility for offense. Well, what is defense about really? It's about puck possession. It's about making sure that you have the puck and they don't have the puck, So, and then you just let your offensive guys do what they have to do, and obviously that's working for the Canadiens.
There's only so many systems in the game of hockey, all right? And I think all players know them. More than half the battle with a hockey coach is to get a group of guys to play as a team, to care about each other, to play for each other, and play within that system. And that's more than half the battle. The systems, I get it, but God, they're honestly, any idiot can figure out a hockey system if you play long enough. If you can't figure out the systems they have, then you know what? You should be playing baseball where you stand out in right field and scratch you know what.
Max Pacioretty said that Terry is the best coach he's ever had. I mean, he's obviously not going to rip the coach he has, but that's high praise coming.
Yeah, I mean, Max hasn't had much more than a pit stop with any other coach, and Terrian's been here quite a while, but I think he probably is. In fact, this year I think he should be a serious contender for the Jack Adams. He's done a heck of a job. They'll end up crediting it some way, other way. Now we know it's not all Carey Price. Mm-hmm. They're running out of excuses to make up for what makes him so good.
But he has changed, right? As a coach, like Terry this time around is a very different man than he was.
Evolved.
He has evolved. I mean, he's we talk about players maturing. I mean, he has really matured as a coach. And why would players not like him? I mean, as much as you can criticize Michel Terrier, he is that guy where it's like, you perform well, you get ice time. I mean, that's what the players want. They want fairness. They want to be, get their ice time based on how they play, not you're a first-line player, so you're going to play this much ice time. He doesn't run his team that way.
Well, this father-son trip he's going on, he invited Jean-Claude Morissette, who was the owner of the Laval Titan, and give him the first chance ever to coach. This father-son trip, you never had that. You probably would have loved that.
No, I would have. You kidding me? My dad was on business a couple of times and caught me on the road. Once in California, you got to spend time with the team.
Golden Seals?
It was awesome. I mean, it was just so fun to have him there, be able to go out with the guys and have dinner, but to get on the charter plane with your dad and all the other fathers there, it would have been awesome. But they weren't that forward thinking back in the day, I guess.
Now, Greg Pattern was sent down to the AHL to get some playing time. He's back up. At some point, you got to put him in the lineup, I think, Chuck. Who do you take?
I would think so. I was surprised he didn't start the season there. Geez, I don't know. Gilbert, that's probably not fair to him. They've got a problem with being healthy.
That's right.
And all except for the goalie, the one guy you don't want to get hurt, but, that's worked out. I don't think I've very often seen a team go this deep into a season without anybody in their top. And
last season, they really didn't have any major injuries also.
Yeah.
It's tough because that depth at defense, I mean, it's young guys that they need to be playing to develop, so what do you do?
Who takes the credit for that? Is that just luck? Is it the way the coach practices them? Is it the training staff? It's
a little bit of all three. I think the training staff has to give some credit.
Well,
and the days off.
Every time Terry gives them a day off, I know on the HL website, people say, "Oh, they're lazy." It's a long season. But now you have Jared Tenorti. What do you do with him? He hasn't played a game in almost 2 months, Andy. At some point, you got to do something.
Tenorti, that's like a bigger question. What do you do with Tenorti? I mean, has he, exactly, you'll probably lose him because he has to go through waivers, right, if he goes down. So it's difficult with him. And he's a big guy that could be really great down the line, so you don't want to kind of flush him. That one I think is the toughest.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Looking at it seems like the league is getting away from the big tough defensemen, right? You look at, I mean, it's the league is so fast that sometimes they can be liabilities. I feel bad for this kid. I want to see him get a chance. He's a good kid. He works hard. He put himself out there. I'm curious to know the one thing I'm curious to know is that I'm wondering if his dad's on the trip. I heard his dad talk about him last year. And the organization, and he's going to have to make up his mind if he don't play. But here he is again, not playing,
and he hasn't really been given a long stretch either, really.
Wearing on him and his dad.
Probably goes. I guess maybe Bergevin is waiting for a team to be desperate with an injury, and then maybe you can trade him and get something.
Yeah, right now the value is not there, and I'm sure Bergie he doesn't want to just give him away, right, and get nothing for him.
Well, that's it for this week's show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week.